social media has become literally survival of the fittest of the best storytellers.
That's Brendan Kane, author, speaker, and founder of Hook Point, where he's helped brands like MTV, Taylor Swift, and Paramount generate billions of views by mastering one thing: storytelling.
If it's not related to how you become a better storyteller, it's not going to help you grow in 2026 or beyond.
In this episode, Brendan breaks down why storytelling is the single most important thing for creators and brands, and why most people fail, not because of the algorithm, but because they don't understand the core principles behind great content.
Everything has already been said. So you need to make sure that you're constructing your hook that demonstrates you're going to provide some type of perspective that is different than what they've already heard or seen before.
And when it comes to turning attention into income, Brendan thinks most creators are just missing the mark.
Just because you get attention doesn't mean it correlates into the end result that you want if you don't have the structure to harness and process that attention into tangible business growth and goals.
It's time to master the art of storytelling, what it can do for your business, and how to make personal brand content like a pro. Let's get into it.
What does someone need to understand about social media right now to win in 2026? What do you think are the key principles?
The first one is forget everything that you've heard about social media. Just push everything aside and just realize that social media is not something that is new. People think it's like this brand new inventive thing, when in reality, it's history repeating itself over and over and over again. So if you want to excel, I don't care if it's in 2026, 2027, 2035, how do you become the best storyteller possible? Because that is what drives success on these platforms today and what will in the future. Because if you think about what controls whether you get 1,000 views or 100 million views, it's the algorithms. And there's a lot of myths and demonizations about the algorithms, but it's pretty simplistic in terms of their purpose and why they exist. So I started in social media in 2005. And the funny thing is, like back then, MySpace was the prominent player. It was 25 million people. Facebook was at 6 million. YouTube was in its first year. And social media back then was very simple. Like you get somebody to follow you and you post something and people actually see it. But what happens is more and more people get on the platform. By 2010, we're at 1 billion people on the platform. Today, we're at 5.2 billion. So obviously, with that many people on social media, there needed to be a system designed to control what you see when you open up the app. Because if any one of us opened up our favorite app right now, there's probably at least 150,000 pieces of content the algorithm could serve to you based on who you follow and the content you've engaged with. But obviously, human beings, we're not integrated with robots and AI yet. We can't consume 150,000 pieces of content at once. So they have to prioritize what are the first 5, 10, 15. So how do they prioritize that? Well, the underlying business model of all these platforms is serving ads. So the more content we consume, the longer we spend on these platforms, the more ads they can serve. So all they are looking for in terms of content creation and kind of their scoreboard is how effective is a single piece of content that you produce in terms of grabbing the attention, but more importantly, holding that attention. And if we think about human beings and storytelling, the first story ever told was 50,000 years ago. Everything that we see around us, everything that has been built over the course of human history is based upon stories. And stories are designed to do what? To grab and hold your attention. It's kind of like when you read a kid a bedtime story, you start with once upon a time and they want to sit and wait until the end. Or if you go and see a movie, you see a trailer and you go sit down in the theater, well, you want to see what happens till the end. So social media has become literally survival of the fittest of the best storytellers. And that's what it's just like I say, push everything else aside, because if it's not related to how you become a better storyteller, it's not going to help you grow in 2026 or beyond.
So then how does somebody become a better storyteller? And is that the number one thing that someone needs to focus on to see success on social? Because your whole thesis is like teaching people how to get more views and how to be seen on social. Is storytelling just number one thing you need to dial in to be seen?
Yes.
Okay.
So in terms of how do you do that? Well, how do you get good at anything? You study something.
Yeah, we study, practice.
You learn, you practice.
Get in the lab.
Practice?
We get in the lab. Talk about practice.
Not the game.
Practice.
Mm-hmm.
But that's so I started my career. I went to film school. And I started my career in the film industry. the interesting thing, most people have kind of seen this expressed through TV shows and films, is like, I wanted to be a movie producer. So I show up at film school thinking I'm just going to learn the business side of film and like how to produce things. No, they make you take acting classes, editing classes, cinematography classes, directing. Why? Because all these small nuances make up whether your story is successful or not. Like, you guys do a lot of production. If one of those elements goes off, the whole thing falls apart. It's kind of like I think people can relate to this. They go to a movie that they're super excited to see, and they leave the theater and they're like, something was off. I can't pinpoint it, but the movie just wasn't good. The same thing applies to social media. There's all these small nuances that make up the ability to tell an effective story or not. So to me, step one is understanding this is all about storytelling. Number two is start studying the storytelling and storytelling structures that are being used on social media to start recognizing these patterns and structures that you can emulate for your content, your message, and the thing that you want to put out.
I'm hearing you that the number one thing is storytelling, but are the rules of the game constantly changing? Have you noticed, like, we were in New York interviewing Gary Vee, and Gary's like, post as much as you can. And yesterday we're chatting with you and you're like, I don't think that is the thing anymore. I don't think that you need to be posting every single day. Do you feel like, over the periods of these 6-month intervals, or even 3 months, or even now 30 days, because AI is just taking over our feeds, are the rules of the game changing, or is it still at the very core of it, it still is storytelling?
It's always storytelling.
Always.
So I'll give you an example.
Okay.
And we were talking about this yesterday. It's like, so at my company, Hook Point, I believe so much in storytelling and what we call formats. You guys mentioned the word series. They're kind of the same thing. But what it is it's a repeatable structure that's proven to succeed time and time again if executed properly. So one example that we talked about is Man on the Street. Is you're an account, you approach a random stranger on the street and interact with them in some way, shape, or form. Now, the amazing thing about formats or series is it can be used for any industry or sector. So with Man on the Street, we have a friend of mine, Alex Stemp, that's a professional photographer. So he approaches random strangers on the street and offers a professional photo shoot. We have another amazing guy called Body by Mark, and he interviews people about what their fitness routine is, or their diet or nutrition. Or one of the accounts that we were talking about is School of Hard Knocks, that approaches entrepreneurs, successful people on the street and asks them, well, how did you make your first $1 million? What made you so successful? So the reason I bring up that format is the first time that was ever used was in 1954 for the first season of The Tonight Show. Why has it worked for 70 years? Because it's a storytelling structure that works. There's so many different elements to it. One element that makes it work is the tension. There's automatic subconscious tension created on the screen when you're approaching a random stranger on the street. Like, what is going to happen with this person? Is this person going to get rejected? Is he going to get punched in his face? Like, what are they going to say? There's this kind of unknown kind of element to it. In addition, it provides a lot of opportunity for perspective shifts and aha moments. But I bring it up because the question that you ask is a great question, because so many people that come to me from all over the world is like, Brendan, I'm told social media changes every day. It's moving so fast. How do I keep up? I'm not succeeding because it's always changing. The algorithm just shifted and all these things. The reality is it doesn't. It goes down to the core principles. Like, and again, even like School of Hard Knocks, they've been using that format for years. Alex Stemp, my friend, I think has been using it for 4 or 5 years and it still works. Why? Because it comes down to the core of storytelling that does what the algorithms want. It grabs the attention and holds the attention.
So then how does a person know which format is right for their business? So if somebody's listening to this and they're like, I'm a busy business professional, or they're in some sort of niche, how do they know which format that they should go after that's going to see the most success for them?
So the first thing to know is there are thousands of these formats out there. So what people typically do, or they feel pressure to do, is to select something and be like, oh, this person's having success. Like School of Hard Knocks is having success with Man on the Street, so I have to do it because they're successful with it, even though it doesn't connect with them. But like at my company, we've analyzed over 500 of these formats. We have a massive library of them. So that's the first thing, is I don't want people to feel the pressure to do something that is not authentic to them. Because there's 2 primary questions that I dive into to help with this on a macro level. Is number one, what feels authentic to you, what feels exciting to you. Like you have to connect with it, because if it's not authentic to you, like you guys are great storytellers, it'll show up on screen. If on a subconscious level, like a lot of the things that we're going to talk about today are like happening on a subconscious level, because everybody that's consuming content on social media, they're professionals at consuming content. So they are picking things up on fractions of a second on a subconscious level to determine whether they're going to scroll past it and watch it. So it needs to feel authentic to who you are. In addition, you need to be excited about it. Like you need to love it. You need to enjoy it in some way. Otherwise, you're going to get burned out and quit. The second question I ask is, what resources do you have available to you? Because there are formats literally that you can shoot on your iPhone. You don't need a ton of equipment, all these cameras and things, if you don't have it or don't want it. So again, there's different levels to kind of the production scale of it. But I think some people feel like, well, I'm just going to wait until I have enough money to buy a fancy camera or fancy lighting equipment or hire a social media manager or things of that nature. So I try and kind of understand the resources. And then beyond that, you kind of look at like, well, we dive super deep into communication strengths and weaknesses. We have a whole communication assessment we have people take to understand like, how do they typically connect with people and where do they go wrong and disconnect with people? Because you can mitigate people's weaknesses with certain formats and you really play into people's strengths with other formats.
It's interesting. I believe your episode 179, when we first started the podcast, we had one angle, we had mismatched lights. We didn't even have 3 of the same mics.
I think we had 2 lights and one was differing power. Yeah. So one side looked brighter, one side looked darker.
Didn't have the sick wood panels behind us. And so to your point, it's like you have to just start with what you have and then you put in the reps and you get better. I even think about, Brayden and I have both been making content on the internet for close to a decade now, if not a decade.
Yeah, 10 years each.
And we both look back at the stuff that we did early on. Some of it didn't feel authentic to us because we were seeing what was working for other people. Let's say a Logan Paul. I would see him and be like, okay, he's getting millions of views on his vlog. I need to be this like bigger than life animated person. And it didn't feel authentic to me. And I look back at that and I'm like, well, there's no duh that it didn't work for me because it didn't feel authentic to me.
It was the same for me. Like I tackled Man on the Street because we've done 8 research projects on that format and it has such a high ceiling to it. But I'm not an extrovert. So me going out on the street and like stopping random people for 2 hours is exhausting for me. So
and no fun.
I was like, I'm done with this. We did it twice and I'm like, no, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Even though it has a massive high ceiling to it, it just wasn't the right fit for me.
Hope you're enjoying this episode. Real quick, want to let you know about an awesome free product that we got linked in the description. It's our personal brand Kickstart. What's in it?
Okay, we got 5 prompts for you. It's going to help you define your personal brand, get clarity, and start posting content that really resonates with your audience.
It'll literally take you less than 10 minutes. And it's been super apparent with all the guests that we've had on our show. They have really strong personal brands and it's allowed them to scale their businesses. So go check it out. Top link and let's keep it rolling.
So finding the right fit, you also brought up tension, which is really interesting. I'd love to go into the through lines for what makes a good story and what can cut through. Like bringing in tension is a key storytelling trait. What other traits within storytelling need to be in the social media content in these videos to be able to cut through?
So the way that we look and understand how to tell effective stories is we go format by format.
Okay.
So at Hook Point, we've created a model called gold, silver, bronze, like GSB. So basically, we'll take Man on the Street, for example. We'll take School of Hard Knocks. So we want to understand what really drives Man on the Street in the context of School of Hard Knocks doing it. So what we do is we open up a spreadsheet. We take 20 of the high performers, which are the gold. So in that format for that account, it's pushing at least 2 or 3 million views plus. Then we take 20 of the average, the median performers, and then 20 of the underperformers. For that account, it's like 200,000 views or less. And basically what we do is we're cross-analyzing what's happening in those high performers. We try and diagnose, like, what are they doing in those high performers that we think are driving that success? So that can be things like building the right tension. What do the first 3 seconds look like? Is there a specific use of captions or title cards? is there a perspective shift? Are we really shifting the perspective of the viewer? We have another one called effect on viewer. Like, what is the impact, the effect that this viewer is feeling when they're watching this? And once we pinpoint what we think is driving the high performers, then we go and watch the low performers. And we see, are those elements showing up? So for example, with tension, if it's tension and it's showing both up in the high performer and the low performer, then we know that that's not the thing that's driving performance. It's called performance drivers, things that drive performance up and things that drive performance down. Now, each format kind of has their own DNA to it of like, what are the exact performance drivers in combination of those things. And we can do a little bit of exercise later of actually doing this together if you guys want to kind of see it in action. But some of the things that you have to kind of look at is, again, like what you said in terms of like tension, is that a key ingredient? It is for a lot of different formats. I'm not going to say every single one, but if you kind of feel, again, this doesn't necessarily have to be on a conscious level, but even on a subconscious level, if you feel there's some type of tension building, some type of conflict, we're kind of almost trained at the core human level of DNA to pay attention to it. Why? Because remember when we were talking about 50,000 years ago, the first stories ever told? Well, what were those stories? They weren't fairy tales. They were stories about survival, how to hunt, what to fear. Like, that is the core essence of where stories started. It was a pure survival mechanism. So that's why people, when they see a car crash, they can't help but look. And that's where it's like in Man on the Street, it has such a high ceiling because there's this inherent tension that's built in of, if you frame it properly, when you're approaching a random stranger on the street, people are going to wonder, what's going to happen. And one kind of element that we've seen people with Man on the Street use successfully is sometimes a lot of times, if they start with a rejection first, like they get rejected 1 or 2 times, it often performs better than if you just start with the person kind of interacting on that level.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
His ones that perform the best, he'll like walk up to someone and be like, I don't have time to do it. He goes,
Yeah.
well, sir, really quick. And then he gets him to say something. And then people in the comments like, wow, I love how you got him for us. Like,
Or I think somebody who also does this super well. Do you know Vukum, the guy?
yeah.
No.
Have you?
You like him, the watch guy. He deals watches in New York.
Yeah.
So there's tension there because it's like I want to try to sell it for this, but it's like, no, we only have this, and then trying to they're trying to negotiate, and that's a form of tension. It also reminds me of the South Park, the people
Yes.
who created South Park, and they said, if you're telling a story and you say and then doesn't work. Instead, you should use but therefore or but then this happened.
And as the audience member too, you and I know what the watch sold for. So we're like invested in seeing if this dude's gonna sell it for. He's like, we want 18.5. You're like, dude, you're ripping these guys off. You get 7,000 more than what you paid for it, but like, let's go. I want to see it. And then there's a payoff at the end to see what it ended up selling for. Do you find that people that come to your business, are they usually completely mind blown by what you end up telling them? And if there was 3 key traits of what you tell them, what would they be when they come to you?
So one of the big mind-blowing elements that we do is identifying their communication strengths and weaknesses. So we have a communication model that's backed by over 1.6 million communication assessments done worldwide. And what it does is it breaks down the 6 different ways that people perceive you, your content, and are either motivated to take the action that you want them to or demotivated. So, and it's kind of like psychology meets a mathematical formula. So the largest subset of the population, 30%, is feeling based. So they're gonna make a decision to follow your account, share your content, purchase your stuff based upon how it emotionally makes them feel. The second largest subset of the population is fact-based. It's 25%. So for them, it's not about how it makes them feel. It's who, what, when, where, why. Does this make sense to me? 20% is fun-based. So it's like humor and playfulness. That's what brings people in. 10% is value-based. So for them is, can I trust you? Are you dedicated? Are you committed? Another 10% is imagination. It's reflective-based. So these people just reflect on the world. So I don't know if you saw Oppenheimer, the movie, but remember Albert Einstein? He was just like staring out at the lake. He was walking around the woods, and that was his natural way. These people they look like they're staring off into space, but they're just reflecting on everything around them. And then the smallest subset of the population is action-based. It's 5%. So for these people, They want the best. They want to move. They want to go, 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 go. So the best analogy is Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. What is he doing? He is not talking about his feelings. He's not talking about values. He's not having fun. He's jumping off the side of buildings, hanging off the side of planes. Like that's his real personality type. Like incidents fuels them. So what happens as human beings, we have access to all 6, but we have our strengths and our weaknesses. So typically as communicators, we are only speaking from one of those languages. So for me, it's fact-based. That's my top. That's 25%. If I only spoke from logic, I could potentially disconnect or alienate up to 75% of my audience. So to kind of give a perspective of like putting it to action, there's a guy named Gary Keller, the founder of Keller Williams, that brought me in to train his top mastermind of real estate agents. And I did an analysis of how people sell homes. And if you've ever rented or bought a home, you'll understand this. They all follow the same thing. It's all fact-based, 25%. This home has 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, an acre of land. So if I were to take this communication model and sell the same content of the house, well, I would still start with that fact-based. This house has 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and an acre of land. But did you check out that pool in the backyard? You are going to have the craziest and funnest parties, and all your neighbors are going to be super jealous. And this fireplace, how is it going to feel when you and your family are opening up presents on Christmas Eves? And I really believe that this is a great house for you because it's in the best school district. But you should move fast now because this is by far the best house and it's going to move quickly. So I took this same content of the house and just represented it in 6 different ways. Now, they don't talk about it often, but Pixar does this in all of their movies. All of their characters in movies are based upon this. So they have a character that hits each way that people perceive the world. And that's one of the reasons that Pixar is one of the most successful startup movie studios of all time, is because they know how to effectively communicate and bring different audiences in. So it really blows people's mind when they see that they could be disconnecting from over 75% of their audience, not by what they're saying, but how they're saying it. And like you guys know from all the production and content you do, like it's really about the context of how you deliver the message that causes it to connect or fall flat.
That is so interesting because, I mean, you see it every day. You see someone maybe delivering a great message and you're like, this just isn't hitting, man. Or maybe they're like reading off a script. They've never done it before and it just feels awkward, but the information might be amazing there.
Or
What were you going to say?
or it's just some guy capping, but he's just speaking with such enthusiasm. You're like, I don't know what he's saying or if it's right, but I'm bought in. Oh,
or
man.
you see the brands that try and get into kind of political conversations that have
God,
never
yeah.
gotten into them
Yes.
before, and it just completely backfires on them.
Yes.
Because again, values is only 10%. Like this is one of the reasons the environmental movement fails and has failed, is because of the way they communicate it. They're like, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, you are a bad person. You are destroying the planet. Well, how is that fun?
So true. Yeah, I'll tell you what was fun.
Yo, I'm not having
I'll tell you-
fun here.
I'll
How
tell you
does
what-
that feel?
I'll tell you what was fun. Last night I saw Mr. Beast saving some animals, 1,000 animals, and he's just darting them. And that was like how they were showing it.
Oh, that's cool.
It was crazy. It was like, we're gonna save 1,000 animals, and then it's just him and his buddies shooting them with vaccines, like these giraffes and stuff. And I'm like, this is pretty awesome. And then in the bottom, it had a donation link. And I bet his way of communicating that story
Yeah.
is so much better than what you're saying when the ASPCA girl pops on. She's like, do you want to save this animal, or you're going to hell, man, if you don't put $25 in this card. It's so true. It's so interesting. Just a different way of communication, how it can make someone move or not want to move. Is there what would be another one that you think that people really need to focus on? Actually, scratch that question. What about your pre-production process for these different partners? How do you sit down with them and then go through, like, do you go through a hook and then we go through the meat and then a call to action? What does that process look like?
So that's a great question, because before you ever sit down to create any content, number one, you need to know what your format is. And that question before is, what's another big mistake that I see? 99% of people creating content, even for the big brands, because we were joking about what is it like to work with big brands, they don't even know what a format is. So their idea is, I'm going to chase a trend, or I'm just going to throw ideas, and they start with ideas without a structure to it. So it's starting with the format, understanding how the format works, like analyzing it. And then typically what we do is we create like a script template, which is kind of like the beats to it. So yes, it's like the hook, how are we layering in the tension? We layer in kind of like the performance drivers into that. And then we kind of just we basically just like break it down block by block by block. So if it's again like School of Hard Knocks, since we're just kind of just talking about that format, is like we would break down each block in that script template, almost as if we were writing a screenplay of hitting in like, okay, this is the inciting incident, this is plot point 1, plot point 2, plot point 3, things of that nature. Now, I will say that as you're telling stories, like I think a big mistake people make, even if they understand tension, they think they only create tension once, but there's ebbs and flows to telling a story. So you think about like a superhero movie, like the superhero doesn't win in the first 5 minutes. They go through trials and tribulations, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. So in terms of that pre-production process, as we understand the format, we break it down, we look at kind of the beats in that. And it doesn't necessarily, when I say script template, it doesn't mean it has to be scripted, but at least you know the specific beats that you're trying to kind of hit within that. And the reason that we do all of that ahead of time is that if the video doesn't perform, now you haven't lost the opportunity to learn because you've actually followed a process. So you can just go back and look, well, what did I miss? Did I miss a key element, or maybe I just didn't execute it properly? Like one of the exercises that we do, we have a hook point mirror test where we'll take your video, the underperformer, against a high performer and play them side by side. And if you're really honest about yourself, you can learn a tremendous amount about benchmarking yourself, not from a content perspective, but kind of from a delivery and execution on what you missed.
I'd love to you brought up real estate, and I'd love to maybe talk to a real estate agent that's listening to this right now, or maybe even like a lawyer or a dentist. Man on the street might work for a real estate agent or dentist or lawyer, might not. What are some other formats that you think could perform well for a real estate agent, a dentist, a lawyer, or somebody else that maybe doesn't want to do man on the street?
So, okay, let's start with real estate. And just, I know you didn't say man on the street, but Caleb Simpson does man on the street that could be leveraged for real estate. So he approaches random strangers on the street, says, how much do you pay for rent in New York?
Yes.
Or how much, if they don't rent, then how much do you pay for it? And then he takes them on like a property tour, which leads me to one format that works really well for real estate agents is property tours. So you guys probably know Ryan Serhant.
Of course.
So, and he's not even the most successful one. There's a guy named Ennis, and I can't remember his last name, but he's more successful than Ryan. But what does Ryan do? He's like, let me take you on a tour of a $7 million closet. Like, let me take you on a tour of a $250 million house. Now, do you know who used that format well before them? Do you guys remember, you may be too young for this, The Lifestyles of Rich and Famous by Robin Leach?
Yeah.
Or even MTV Cribs.
Uh-huh.
And
MTV Cribs.
And he had the guy who did the Lifestyle of Rich and Famous had an accent. Mm-hmm. So it's not what he was showing, but also how he said it, because he sounded...
It was amazing.
Yeah, sounded extravagant.
But again, I like to say that because it just shows like history repeats itself. Mm-hmm. But that's an amazing one for real estate agents. So one of the big performance drivers that we talk about is called the generalist principle. So one mistake that people make is they go off the old paradigm of create a niche message for a niche audience. That doesn't work in organic social media. Why? Because what the algorithms are looking for is what content can I see to as many people as possible that can grab and hold attention. There's literally 1 billion pieces of content uploaded to social media every single day. So they have so much content to choose from. They're not going to do the heavy lifting for you. So, and this generalist principle, this is one thing that business owners struggle to wrap their head around. They push back on this super hard because they're operating off this, I only want to sell and speak to my core customer. Well, everything that we're talking about here is to grow your business. I'm here to make you more money. This isn't about going viral for the sake of going viral. But let's take Ryan Serhant, for example, okay? So he masters the generalist principle. So I'm going to take you on a tour of a $7 million closet. Who doesn't want to see a $7 million closet? But Ryan Serhant's customers, his like starting property in Manhattan that he represents is like 15 million. Like it goes up to 200 million. So he'll generate millions of views on that video or videos like that every month. But he knows that if less than 1% of that audience is his core customer base, he's going to beat out his competition every single time because the economy scale is so huge. And that is what has made him one of the most successful real estate agents in the world, is he's applying that generalist principle to his content to play the numbers game.
Or somebody watching his content might not be the person who actually purchases the home from him, but maybe it's the kid of the parent.
1,000%.
We interviewed Colin, who owns Amalfi Jets.
Yep, we've done research on that.
And it's kind of the same thing. He was telling us, he's like, a lot of the business that comes in is the kid who likes our videos and tells the parents, oh, we need to fly private with Amalfi because I like their content.
Do you think we need to go more broad? Like if you were advising us as creators, and let's say a lot of my interest is in business, we produce for some big brands, we do a podcast. Would you advise that my plant collection should also be on my Instagram, or is that going so far left field that it has nothing to do with like what we're doing in business? Or could it maybe make someone interested in me that's like, I also am very interested in plants. Oh, he does X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, it's the whole like you are the niche versus should you niche down.
Exactly.
So it's a great question. First and foremost, I will never tell anybody to do something for the sake of going viral or getting views. It has to be tied into who you are, what your business is, what you represent. Like the examples we just gave with Ryan Serhant, it is specifically tied to his expertise. Even when he's giving a tour of a $7 million closet, he is intertwining his expertise, breaking down the value of things and talking through it. Or with Colin and the Amalfi Jet, like it is, even though there's exaggerated kind of skits around these clients and stuff, it's still tied specifically to what he does. Now, if you want to intertwine other parts of your life because you enjoy it and it represents who you are, you can. However, I would recommend holding off until you've really mastered the art of like telling a story and knowing how to break through. Because if you're just starting out trying to scale and you're talking about real estate here and plants here and volleyball here and surfing here, it makes it a little bit difficult for the audience to kind of understand like who you are and should I be following this? Should I be connecting with this person?
I want to go back to this Ryan Serhant example. I think in theory, amazing getting to show off a $7 million closet, but not everybody has access to that as a real estate agent.
But
okay,
he's not representing most of those properties.
I see.
He's making connections with these people.
Yes, and these real estate agents will, who doesn't, like if you're representing a $10 million property, let's say, and somebody comes, even if they're a real estate agent, and say, hey, I know you're representing this property. I have this YouTube channel. I want to come and do a 15-minute walkthrough video. Here's what it looks like. What real estate agent is going to pass that up? So that's where it's a great question. But again, it's one of the big mistakes that people make with social media as it pertains to organic social media is they think that my social media profile is my website and my organic posts are my ads. If you do that, you're going to fail every time. The purpose of social media is to build a relationship. It's to get people to know, like, and trust you. And if people know, like, and trust you, they automatically want to take that next step with you. So that is where, even for Ryan, like the $250 million ranch, I know 100% he wasn't representing that property. I'm pretty sure the $7 million closet wasn't. I know he does a lot of videos that way of representing properties. He knows, hey, I'm going to create value for this agent, but I'm creating value in myself of building my expertise and my, dominance in the market by demonstrating I understand property, not just like any property, but I understand how to represent a $200 million property. And that's how it kind of works. And I know it's kind of like a bit of a mindset shift, but we have to kind of break through of like, I am just creating a piece of content because I want it to sell X, Y, and Z right now. Because if you do that, it just doesn't work that way. You need to create content that builds a relationship that will generate that sale, maybe 5 pieces of content from now, 10, 15, 20. And then once you start doing that, the compounding effect will grow so large that you can hit whatever revenue goal that you have.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people think that if I get a lot of views, it'll lead to sales and business. But you're saying that that's not really true. It has to be pretty strategic of like, sometimes maybe going viral isn't actually what you want because you might be going viral for the wrong thing that might not actually lead to growing your business and getting more sales.
It's a great question. And I get asked this question all the time, running an agency, working with brands. It's like, okay, Brendan, if I hire you, what's going to be my ROI? What's the ROI of 1 million views? What's the ROI of social media? The reality is it depends, because the bigger your vision is dictates how big your success is. I literally know, like I have a friend of mine, Michelle Fan was the first woman on YouTube to hit 1 million subscribers. massive beauty influencers, but she was not just one. There was many that generated millions of subscribers. But she made a distinction in a decision is, I'm not going to just go after brand deals. My ceiling is capped. That's not interesting to me. I have nothing against people that are generating brand deals, but I'm not going to be stuck in like 6 figures. So she co-founded a company called Ipsy that grew to a $500 million company. So somebody with millions of subscribers chose to create a company that was valued at $500 million versus other people with the same audience in the same niche, maybe making $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 a year. And there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want. But how much money can millions of views generate? Well, it depends on the business. Like you guys said, Colin, Amalfi Jets. I'm sure he is making a lot more money based upon the views that he's generating than kind of like a mom and pop e-commerce store that's generating the same amount of views. It depends on the business that you have, the structure behind it, and what happens when you get that attention. Because getting attention is only one part of the puzzle here. Just because you get attention doesn't mean it correlates into the end result that you want if you don't have the structure to harness and process that attention into tangible business growth and goals.
What have you done for the structure of your business on the back end? Because obviously we see these videos on Instagram. You're breaking something down. You're saying this one got 1 million, this one got 100 million, here's why. Well, then they do want to take the next step with you. What have you done to ensure that these leads don't just fall into the abyss and that they do come in, you get traffic, you set them up with your team? What does that process look like for you guys?
So on average, we generate about 3,000 leads a month. So we have different levels to it. We have just our email list where there will be, like we literally have people that will be on our email list for 1.5 years and then buy from us. And this is, again, a part of like, you try and nurture the relationship. So number one is, we push people to subscribe to the email list. A lot of our lead gen is I give away, some of my books for free so that they can, dive in even deeper. And then we have a sales team. So we have people that will reach out to these people. We have the ability to schedule a call. And then we have events, like I'll do like a workshop, or I'll jump on a live for an hour and walk through a presentation, talk a little bit more in depth about how our process works, how they can apply it. And then if they want to take that next step, then they can go through that. On the flip side is that audience and that exposure leads to opportunities like this, being on podcasts, being on stages, being asked to speak at organizations. So there's kind of, it's not like one kind of approach or one funnel into everything. There's kind of multiple touch points that you try and hit them in as many places as possible and provide as much value in each of those touch points until they're ready to ultimately make that decision to move forward.
Now, if someone has their format down, they're getting good traction for their business, what are some of those structures that they need to apply to their back end to make sure that they're squeezing the most juice out of all that attention that's coming their way?
So there's a lot of different variables to it. Like simplest macro level, like the link in your bio. Is it going to a place that's optimized for conversion? And conversion could mean filling out a lead form. It could be booking a call, or maybe it's an e-commerce business and it's literally just booking or buying the product right there. Or is it, you're using the ManyChat automation on Instagram where you're saying comment below to get something so that, again, it's adding to your list there. Then once people are on your landing page or in your email list, like what does your retargeting look like? Do you have an email cadence when somebody first signs up for your list where you're nurturing them across 30, 60, 90, 120 days? Are you building retargeting pixels, like just having a meta pixel or YouTube AdSense pixel in your website so that if you choose to run paid ads, it's not required, is you can retarget the people that's engaged with you. And when you retarget people, it's far less expensive than just reaching a cold audience. And then it's just like, how good are you at fulfilling on your promise? How good is your product? Like that's one of the most simplest things that people, forget. Like if your product is good, people are going to share it. People are going to talk about it. And for every product that you sell, you're going to have a compounding impact of word of mouth taking over. So those are just a few of the things that you have to have in place. But it is a critically important thing to have set up.
I want to go back to something that Braden brought up, the posting every day versus not. How good production quality do we actually need, and how much of that is a factor in getting more views? Because for us, for example, the podcast clips, we've been seeing a ton of podcast clips that are like, holy shit, these are so fucking good and high quality. It makes sense that they're doing well. Then you also see another group of like, this just kind of has subtitles and it doesn't have any crazy like motion graphics or B-roll really, and it's still doing well. And with like Sora and these AI platforms that are coming out, how important is the production quality to be able to see success on social? We're having the discussion, we were having it on the way here. Do we need to hire a motion graphics person for our clips? Is that really gonna move the needle? Or is it just you need to provide a ton of value with the clip and that's enough?
9 times out of 10, production quality is not a performance driver. Again, it's like you have to go to the references. I'm not saying, like, people need to understand what you're saying. They need to be able to clearly hear you and see you. But I'm sure you guys could point to 100 podcasts that have that looks amazing, but doesn't break through. That is always the litmus test. Is if it's you or somebody else, and you say, "Oh my God, this clip is exploding and it looks amazing." Well, go look at the other clips that haven't performed. Do they look just as amazing? And if you're seeing that same production quality was there in the low performer that was in the high performer, you know that's not driving the performance. Again, it's all about the connection to the story. Like, you guys have chosen a format, podcast, which is very difficult to pull off because it's long form. But you guys are doing a great job because you're creating an experience. Now, you asked about like graphics. Okay, let's go look at Joe Rogan. Let's go look at Lex Friedman. Let's go.
So true.
Let's go
You're
look at
so
Stephen Bartlett.
right.
Like, the answers, that's the amazing thing, is the answers are out there. Like, there are billions of data points available to us for free. We just go and look for the answer. So that's when you ever have a question, is like, did this drive success or will this drive success? Either if you have enough content that's performed, just look at the high performers versus the low performers. And if that variable shows up in both, you know it's not there. If you don't have enough performance, then you go to a reference of it and see if it shows up there in both the high performers and the low performers.
Do you think, though, someone needs to be cautious of comparing, for us, for example, does somebody need to be careful of comparing where they are to somebody who's maybe already made it and has blown up? For example, like, should we be comparing ourselves to how Diary of a CEO, Joe Rogan, Lex Friedman run their podcast? Or should we look at someone who's maybe in a similar-ish point as us, subscriber-wise, follower-wise, and compared to people who are fucking crushing it?
Because like Joe, for example, right? Every million people are going to watch Joe every time. Joe's thumbnails, no one gives a shit about Joe's thumbnails. They are just the damn number.
He's not really worried about the packaging.
He's not playing the game necessarily, right? Whereas Steven, if I compare ourselves to Steven. Okay. I look at Stephen Bartlett and I'm like, I want this. I want this bad. And I look at the thumbnail and I look at how he does the intro to his show. And we have literally changed the intro because there's a gold standard of what Diary of a CEO is doing, and it's working. Yeah. So we're emulating what the intro of that looks like. We're emulating what the thumbnail of that looks like. And you've seen it trickle down all the way down into every damn podcast is now doing a trailer. Whereas people used to just do what Joe does. And they used to just show up and sit down and there would be 10 minutes of bullshit in the beginning of an episode and nothing would really happen. Whereas now our show is much different. Yeah. We start with a very interesting question that hopefully someone pops on if they don't know us and they go, these guys actually know what they're talking about. The first 5 questions went with the thumbnail. Yeah. We're going to hang out and stay with them. And then, wow, they went on a bunch of different rabbit holes during this conversation. I really enjoyed it. Maybe I'll come to a next one.
What's also interesting about that, before you answer the question, you talk about storytelling and social media and it not being reinvented because it's been happening for the past however many years. The girl who helped Stephen Bartlett blow up Diary of a CEO, she just quit. But I was listening to a podcast of her and she said the whole reason why we started doing trailers is because we were looking at stuff outside of social media. We were looking at movies, okay? The movies have a trailer, so why don't we also make a trailer to have people get hyped about the episode that's coming out? So that's an example of what you were saying.
Yeah, so we did a research project for Stephen Bartlett. We can kind of dive into that, but I want to you asked a great question and I want to kind of just do a mindset shift for you and the audience. Please. Because you said, should we compare ourselves these people. I don't think you should compare yourself to anybody. I think you should learn from them, because comparing gets really dangerous, because if you're like comparing yourself to Stephen Bartlett or Joe Rogan, then you're getting so caught up in the success that they're having versus the success that you're having. And that can kind of be demotivating versus, like, again, I go to film school. We learn from Steven Spielberg. We learn from Quentin Tarantino. We're not comparing ourselves to that. But to your question of like, should we, from a learning perspective, I always say, look at the gold standard and the high performers. Now, a few considerations. Yes, like Joe Rogan has reached critical mass. However, which you have to kind of understand, like, you can't follow his thumbnail strategy because he has that relationship. But I think that there's so much still that you can learn from watching that podcast. Like, what is the experience? It's called the Joe Rogan experience, but he is literally creating experience. Stephen Bartlett is creating a different experience. Even Lex Friedman is creating an experience in it. Like, think through, like, what are the elements that's actually driving the success? And like, an easier exercise that you guys can do is look at the clips. And I'm not talking like the 60-second clips, but like, especially like Lex Friedman, Joe Rogan, Stephen Bartlett, like look at the 10 to 15 minute clips of like, there's a variance in performance there. And so I worked in journalism for about 2 years with the journalist Katie Couric when she went to Yahoo, and was like, she was on the Today Show for 25 years and went to Yahoo and was like completely struggling because Yahoo didn't understand social media at all. And I did 220 interviews with her, ranging from like Joe Biden to DJ Khaled to Jessica Chastain to Jay Leno, all across the board. And the big shift that I made with Katie, and that I recommend when I talk to people that are doing podcasts or any type of interview, is don't start with a question. Don't start with a question you want to ask. Figure out what is the end result that you want from each clip. So again, look at Lex Friedman, look at Joe Rogan. I think Stephen Bartlett, I know he does short form, but I don't know if he does the longer clips. But look at the clips and think about it in that perspective. Like, what would be like 10 thumbnail and headlines for clips I want to pull out of this episode that can stand on its own? And when you think about the end outcome first, what you're thinking about is, remember the performance driver I said earlier, the effect on the viewer. What is the effect on the viewer that I want this person to have from this episode, from this interaction? And when you start with the thumbnail, the title, the headline, the hook for each one of those 10 clips first, and you start the interview and you don't get quite what you want, because I'm sure you guys have interviewed bad people before, where you ask a question and they'll just say yes or no.
Yeah. You're
and
like,
it just falls flat.
You're like, that's awesome, man.
We're not going to name any names, but
But it gives you room to work around that, because you know what the effect that you're having on.
Yeah.
And if you're not getting the effect with the initial way that you ask the question, you can follow up with others. But that's just where I've kind of found it. Now, like Joe Rogan's done it like intuitively because he's been doing it for 14 years. Like, there's some people that are naturally doing it. Stephen Bartlett's completely manufactured from, the first shot all the way through. They're manufacturing every moment. Like, I'm not sure if you've kind of seen and heard the amount of research they do about people beforehand, where they'll find a song that has an emotional connection to the person. They'll play it as the person's coming in, so they're more emotionally vulnerable going into it. Why? Because they want that deeper connection, that relationship with the audience. So that's kind of how I look at it. I know it's kind of a long-winded answer to kind of like where you guys are at, and it can be applied to anything of like how you actually learn from others instead of like comparing yourself.
No, I love that. I would love to dive into the examples that you brought for us today. I think people would find a ton of value in that. So I'd love if we could bring out the laptop.
bring it out.
Bring out the laptop and let's check out a few examples today. I think the Rock's gonna love this.
Can you guys see it?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I can see it perfectly.
Okay, so as I mentioned, we have this process called gold, silver, bronze of dissecting a format. So we talked about a format is a repeatable structure that drives success again, again, again. Now there's thousands of these out there. So what most people will do is they won't even know a format and they'll just go in a different direction. Or what they'll do is be like, oh, I see what that person's doing. Man on the Street, School of Hard Knocks. Oh, that's simple. I'm just going to go interview people on the street. If you just stop there, 99% of people are going to fail, because people fail to recognize the tip of the iceberg syndrome. Is like the tip of the iceberg is the high performers that you see in social media. You don't see the other 99% of people trying to do the same thing failing. So we're going to do an exercise together with a format called How Do You Know? And I like this format because this is like a beginner format that people can use. So it's pretty simple. It takes like a timeless idea and it makes it feel really urgent and relevant. And basically, it's shot on an iPhone. It's low production on purpose. It's meant to kind of feel like a FaceTime call, and it can cover a wide variety of topics. It could be like about anxiety, success, business, relationships, whatever it is. So we're going to look at an example of this digital philosopher, Julian de Medeiros, using this format. How do you know? So he generated 17.6 million views with this video.
Here's how you know it's true love, like potentially the love of your life. And this is a simple rule from the philosopher Nietzsche, who basically argued that love is the highest form of friendship. Or, in his words, what makes most relationships fail is not a lack of love, it is a lack of friendship. And to cultivate friendship and love means finding somebody who makes you smile, who makes you laugh, but above all, who makes you feel safe. It's like George Eliot, who wrote that it is, quote, the inexpressible comfort of feeling safe with a person. And when you feel safe, you can be your most authentic, childlike, joyful self. You bring out the best in each other. It's like Dr. Seuss, who wrote that life is weird. Everyone is a little weird. And when two people meet whose weirdness is compatible and they join forces, they call it love. That's what love is. It is the highest form of friendship. It is finding someone who is your friend for life.
So again, this generated 17.6 million views. So most people are going to look at this and be like, I see what he's doing. He's just talking into the camera and giving advice. I'm going to do that. You're going to fail. But this is why we take this next step.
I would fail doing that because I'm like, this guy hasn't said he's quoting Dr. Seuss.
Well,
I can't do that.
You could script it though.
It's like I got like 56
he's
tries.
got like
in
quotes,
my-
dude. He had 64 quotes. Okay, can I take a little baby stab?
Yeah.
Okay, here's how you know it's true love. Interesting hook. You're going to be like, you have the naysayers who think, I don't believe in this bullshit. I don't believe in true love. Okay, so we have people that are in the negative side. And then we have people who are pro-love who are like, I want to see if this person's thoughts agree with what I'm thinking right off the top of my head. That's what I'm thinking right off the bat.
Okay, so let's do a little bit of an exercise together, okay? So now we're going to we're going to watch 2 more videos, same creator, same format, and you guys are going to guess which one broke through and generated millions of views and which one didn't.
Okay.
And I want the audience to participate too.
Okay,
So
okay.
after we play both clips, the audience just put pause and write it down on a piece of paper, put it in the comments below which one you think, okay?
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, let's watch the first one.
Ooh, okay.
Here's a simple sign that you have a true friend. And this is a simple rule about friendship that goes back to the author Isabel Allende, in which she writes, true friendship withstands time, distance, and silence. And what she meant is that a true friend has 3 things. 1, you're friends for life. Like, not just for a moment, for life. 2, you don't have to be in the same place. You may have grown up together but gone your separate ways. That matters nothing. And finally, number 3, you don't have to speak all the time. This one is crucial. True friends don't have to speak all the time. But when you do speak, it feels like no time has passed at all. Hence, this is very similar to the quote about friendship from Elizabeth Foley, in which she says, the most beautiful discovery true friends make is that they can grow separately without growing apart. That is a true friend, a friend for life. True friendship withstands time, distance, and silence.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's video 1. Now we're going to watch video
Simple
2.
sign you have a true friend. Okay, that's your number 1. Okay, number 2.
Here's how you know that you have a bad friend, like a fake friend or a fair weather friend. And this goes back to a simple observation by the author Christian Nestle Bovey, who once wrote, a bad friend is like a shadow, with you when the sun shines, but disappears when it gets dark. And what he meant is that a fake friend is somebody who likes to hang out when things are great, but they disappear when things get hard. A fake friend walks out of your life when you need them the most. And vice versa, a true friend is somebody who is with you at your darkest hour. Somebody who comes precisely when you need them. And so a true friend is somebody who is there for you no matter what. They are loyal to a fault. But a bad friend, a fake friend, a fair weather friend is like a shadow, with you in the sun, but they disappear when it gets dark.
Okay, so for people watching this, click pause and put down in the comments below video 1 or video 2. So let's give them a few seconds to click pause.
I got my answer.
I got my answer too.
Okay, what is it?
I think it's the fake friend one.
I think it's the fake friend one too.
Because I think with the fake friend one negativity usually on social does better, okay? And number 2, my thoughts would be, if I have a true friend, I already know my true friends. I don't need you to tell me about like what makes a true friend because I know who my true friends are, but I would be very interested if I had an inclination that one of these fuckers was a little bit fake. I'd be like, let me hear what this guy has to say as to what makes I'm going to laugh if it's I'm like, come with all this data, like it's for sure number 1. I think it's number 2. What do you think is number 2?
I think it's number 2 because you start to analyze who you have around you a little bit more than the true friend. I think if you have a true friend, you kind of just know gut instinct, this guy's a ride or die for me. Fake friend, you're like, John's only coming around when I got fucking tickets to the Dodgers, okay? Fucking fake ass. So I'm gonna go fake friend.
Okay, what is it? Tell me.
All right. So
Really?
video 1 did 54 million views.
Holy shit.
Video 2 did 276,000 views.
Wow, that is so interesting.
So again, like, because your comments were interesting about the first video you watched. It was just about the format in general. But this is why we do this exercise. We look at the same creator,
Get wrecked.
the same format, and we're talking about 53 million views in performance.
Wait, did
So
I say video? I meant video 1.
Yeah, we were saying video 1. Okay,
Okay, so now we're going to break it down.
let's see
Okay.
it. Let's see it.
So remember before with the gold, silver, bronze, we have performance drivers, the things that drive performance up and the things that drive performance down. So we're going to go through each one individually. So the first one is the perspective shift. So video 1, the high performer, it offers a surprising take. True friends are maintained through silence. So it challenges the viewer's assumptions with that line.
You got to be talking all the time as a true friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then the underperformer video 2, it has kind of a predictable message. Fake friends aren't there for you when you need them. So we kind of know that. So there's no perspective shift with it. The next one is the delivery and credibility. So this is more kind of like the way that he articulates it. And you mentioned after the first one, he is very articulate. He's very clear. He's very concise. He introduces the quote directly, he calls it simple, and it makes it accessible at all. But his delivery is there versus the video 2, he's kind of repetitive and insecure in a little bit. Because you did pick up on it in the video 1. You're like, I could never do this because he's not saying things of that nature. So on the underperformer, he's using filler words. He repeats the quote and over-explains to seem intelligent. And then we have the hook. So video 1, it's short and punchy. He gets to the point super quick without lingering. And then the video 2, it starts strong, but again, the delivery, it drags on. And that dragging on kills the retention of it.
I kind of felt that. Now that we're going.
But you
analyzing
said something interesting because you're like, oh, because of the negativity angle. And that's what a lot of people think. And I'm not here to say that negativity never goes viral, but positivity goes viral as just as many times as negativity.
Really?
does.
So interesting.
Yeah.
I thought there was a moment in video 1 where I was like, I'm getting a little bored. And then he gave me a list of 3.
Yeah.
And I was like, that kind of popped me back into it of like, I want to hear what these 3 things are. Like, so he's going to go, maybe if I was like interested in that video, I might stay till the very end. It's number 1 for me.
You're going to want to stay to the number 3 because this facts could really
This
blow your
is
mind.
the one, dude.
Let's go back and record your answers.
Yeah.
Which one? All right.
That's so
God, we're going to look
interesting.
terrible on our own. We don't know shit.
Well, this one's actually more of a difficult one. Most people get this one wrong. So the last one is viewer self-reflection and tension building, which we talked about tension building. But you mentioned like the 3-part checklist. So video 1, he creates this checklist of time, distance, and silence. So it encourages deep reflection and it keeps the viewers engaged throughout. Versus video 2, it states one trait early on with no buildup. It really kills momentum and limits reflections. So you can kind of see like,
Yeah.
instead of just looking at something surface level and making judgments and be like, oh, I'm going to do this, you actually kind of sit there and you break it down.
I think it's so important to compare two videos from the same creator as opposed to just saying or looking at, oh, this video worked for them, I'm gonna copy that. Like that's such an extra step that really makes a difference.
Yeah, and again, like when we do this, so we have a team of researchers on staff that are dedicated just to doing this. So when we do this format, we don't just do 1 and 1. We look at 20 of the high performers against 20 of the low performers. It takes us like 15 to 20 hours to do a full breakdown of looking at this. And then the performance drivers, there's a different DNA to each format. So like in our library, there's the different combinations. It's in the thousands of like the different ones that it looks like.
I also want to point out how you said production 99% of the time isn't a performance driver. Yeah. He's filming with shitty light on selfie mode on his camera.
Crystals circling around the head.
Because it's a part of the effect of the viewer. It feels like it's so I worked with Taylor Swift very early on in her career. And one of the things that has made her so successful, that it makes her so brilliant, is she realized very early on that social media is not a one-to-many platform. It's a one-to-one platform. Because if we think about when we consume content, where we're by ourselves on the couch, on the train, in an Uber, wherever, we're not sitting in a movie theater or a stadium. That's why low production value in this instance can work.
It's such an interesting point. And we've actually talked about this. I forgot who we talked about this with. Maybe it was Kane.
Okay.
The viewing experience of social media, even though a video might have been seen 54 million times, it wasn't like
it was Kane.
All 54 million people were watching it in a stadium all at once. It was a person by themselves. Like, you don't consume social media with other people. You're in your bedroom or on your couch or whatever, and you're scrolling, and it's a one-to-one interaction.
I noticed that with the YouTubers that I really like. Yeah. They're talking to me. They're not talking to, hey guys.
Yeah.
They're like, who's guys? Who's guys?
Hey, everybody.
I'm not watching this with a bunch of people, dude. I'm watching this on my laptop, you know? And
which goes back to what you were saying of it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yes.
Man.
They have that deep connection. They're saying you. They're like, I'm literally just talking to you. And I feel like those people have the deepest parasocial relationships with their community because you feel like you're growing up with them. You know, those people that we've talked about that we've like, you've watched their videos for a decade and they've still stayed relevant. Like, dude, tell me when we watched Casey Neistat's videos when we were in college, it felt like it was just you and him and he's taking you're like riding the boosted board around New York City with this guy and you're going and finding the drone on top of the thing. You're like, we both got the drone. Like, you didn't get the fuck. It's just Casey getting the damn drone, you know?
What would you tell someone who doesn't feel comfortable speaking to camera and hasn't worked on that skill of like, maybe they look at that video and maybe this format isn't for them, but someone who wants to start making content or has just started on their content journey and is like, I know I should be talking to camera. I know I should be showing my face, but I just like, it feels awkward when I see that red light come on and I'm having to, say what I want to say, deliver value of sorts, but it's just hard for me to speak in front of a camera.
I mean, that's normal. I mean, first, just know that's normal. There's nothing wrong with you. It is an awkward experience to stare into a camera and speak. Like, it took me a long time to do it. Or when I'm testing a new format, like I tested this format once, and the first time I tested it, I had to do 10 takes of the first one to get the cadence going and the delivery and things of that going. So the first thing I say to that is, you're not alone. Like, I feel your pain. I've been there. Like, it's normal. Number two is, like, if it's really holding you back, like, ask yourself, what is it really about? Because it's probably not about the camera. It's probably about something that happened to you in the past as a young kid or a fear of judgment for something else. And see if you can work through that. And number three is, like, nobody's here to force you to do anything. Like, ultimately, this is your choice. Now, there are other formats. Like, there's a creator, Hunter Prosper, amazing content creator. He does stories from strangers. It's man on the street, but you never see him on camera. He asks people on the street, like, emotionally charged questions about their life. Like who was your first love? What was your first heartbreak? Dose of Society is doing it now too. Like, there's ways around it. But the first place, I like to start is it's going to take some time to get through that, but you will get through it.
Yeah.
And then again, just remember, you're speaking to one person.
Yeah.
You're not speaking to a lot of people. That's where I would start with that.
I think that helps a lot, the one person. Or you could do voiceover. Like
Yeah.
you could voice over a clip and you never have to be seen for the first little bit. Okay, I want a round 2, man. I really want redemption.
I'm also just laughing because like, I'll sometimes scroll back in my camera roll and like we'll record, we've made some ads before, we'll like record content. And if I'm trying to do the selfie stuff, I literally will have like 30 or 40 takes. This one day, Braden was like, yo, I need you to just send me like this really quick talking head video, like you talking to the camera.
For an ad.
And it's like an hour and a half later, it's like, can you send me the video? I'm like, still trying to get it down. Like, I'm on take 57, but we're going to get it.
All right. Let me just save this one real quick, and then we'll do another one.
Oh, that was fun.
This is great.
Yeah, that's a really fun exercise. I thought we were so right.
Dude,
but I was like, there's a chance that
Yeah.
it was number 1, man. There was a chance. And he did repeat the damn thing. I'm pissed at myself.
You're like, is he trying to Mr. Miyagi?
We said it with so much conviction.
Yeah. I got it.
Number 2.
Yeah, video number 2.
But I like doing that one because a lot of people get it
Yeah.
wrong, and it just shows you kind of like the nuance to this. Okay, so this is
Okay.
another. We're gonna do a completely different format.
Okay.
So this one's it's called visual metaphors.
Okay.
So the format has 3 key elements to it. It takes an abstract or complex topic, a visual representation of that topic with physical objects, and a verbal explanation of the topic. So this one is a little bit more challenging from an execution level than what we just saw. As you'll see from even just like a production level, the framing, the setup, things of that nature. So we'll watch an example of Dr. Julie Smith that leverages the visual metaphor format. This video did 9.3 million views. And then we'll do the same exercise. We'll watch 2 of her videos and break down which one performed better and why.
Lock in.
Don't make this mistake when you're working on your own happiness. Imagine this is you and this is your life. But like most people's lives, there are problems that can make it toxic. If a fish is living in a toxic environment, eventually it gets sick. So you take her out of the dirty water and put her in a new tank for a while. Kind of like how you take a break, you go on holiday for a few weeks into a new environment, and it helps. Everything gets better and feels great for a while until you return and go right back to that toxic situation again. And it doesn't matter how clean the water was on your break or how refreshed you feel. Eventually, you will get sick again. If you want to thrive in the long term, you have to focus on cleaning up the environment that is affecting you every day. I'm a psychologist, follow for more.
So again, 9.3 million views, amazing format. And again, when we talk about formats, this can be used for any subject matter. It's just using visual metaphors.
I mean, that's textbook right there.
Yeah. Textbook. She did some masking. Okay. This is a good video. Okay.
All
2
right,
different
so
ones.
2 videos, video
shit.
1, video 2.
Lock the fuck in.
Lock in, dude. Stop messing around. Okay, wait. Let's tell me the hook right there. Now imagine this is you. Okay.
Yeah, and imagine for a moment that you're stood. That's just the caption, but
Okay.
you guys will get this one.
Okay.
Now imagine this is you, and these are all the bad things that happened to you. So each one represents a memory of traumatic experiences that you've been through. And as you go about your life, the thing seems like it's overflowing. Memories just keep falling out when you don't want them to, emotionally overwhelming you, and you can't seem to focus on the rest of your life. So what can we do about it? Well, I'm a psychologist, and this is what happens in trauma therapy. First of all, a therapist would gear you up with all the skills that you need to manage just how painful those memories can be. And then you take one memory at a time, carefully open it up at your own pace, and allow you to process that memory. And then you can neatly fold it up. You do the same with the next one and the next one until what you're left with is a neat little pile of memories that fit neatly at the bottom, leaving you more capacity to focus on the life that you want to have today.
Okay. Video 1, now let's watch video 2.
Imagine for a moment that you're stood in front of a busy road with traffic going both ways. And each of those vehicles represents a thought or a feeling coming in and out of your mind. Now, you might be like most other people and spend a good deal of your time in the middle of that road trying to direct the traffic. There are some thoughts you want to hold on to, right? And there's others that you want to push away. But doing that causes more stress because the traffic just keeps on coming. Now, if I asked you to just step back from the curb and watch the traffic, instead of trying to control it, just allowing it to pass and watching as it goes, That would be the process of mindfulness. When you notice that you're trying to hold on to certain thoughts and push others away, see if you can step back from the traffic and let it pass.
Okay, push pause for if you're watching this, so you can put your guess below.
Dude,
put your guess below.
I don't want to say
video
I'm
1 or video
stumped.
2. Okay, guys, do you know the answer?
Are you locked in?
Yeah, I know what I got.
I
Tell
don't want
me.
to. Okay.
You got to go first this time. I went first last time. It's not fair. This is the easiest one.
I want to say probably 1 did better
Okay.
but I don't know.
Why do you think
Why?
1 did better? I think it was 1 too.
I think it was 1 because she like completed an action and it kind of reminds me of the get ready with me of like, you kind of want to see what she's going to be doing with the crumpled up paper. So there's like an action that she's taking in like a completed action versus maybe if the cars were moving a little bit more and she had a visual representation for the person standing in the traffic versus not standing in the traffic, maybe that would have performed better. So I'm going to go with 1.
I also think 1. I think that the text on the screen at the very beginning, imagine you're stood, like, I think you could lose someone right there. I think it's like,
But
huh.
it might be 2 because
Okay, why do you think it could be 2?
because it's like the feeling of like, imagine this is you versus more like this is what happens.
What was the copy on 1 on the very first part? Let's see if we can go back.
Now imagine this is you. Imagine for a moment that you're stood.
I'm thinking 1. I'm really going with 1. I think the paper on the screen was
Okay.
interesting. It had like an auditory situation going on. It was like crumpling paper. She's putting it in. I'm like, imagine this is me. What am I imagining? Okay, I'm putting all these feelings in a basket. She also has
She did struggle to put the paper
she did
in
struggle a
the
little bit,
basket.
but she said that she was a therapist. Okay. And then I'm like, okay, she has a little bit, she's building authority here. She's telling me she's a therapist. She doesn't tell me anything in the second one. So if I just popped onto it, I'm like, why should I listen to this gal? I don't know that she's a therapist. So then she tells me she's a therapist.
The only reason I might think it might be number 2 is because it felt like she did take a little bit long to get into like the solution.
The solution on 1.
But I'm gonna go with 1.
I'm going 1. I'm putting my foot on the
Okay.
table.
You guys
God
sure?
damn
You want
it,
to change
dude.
it?
No, I'm not changing it. Show it to me.
Now
Okay.
Imagine.
Oh, it's 2, isn't it?
You guys got it. Video 1, 12 million views. Video 2, 130,000. Again, same creator, same format, 11 million views and performance.
Let's go.
So
Hey, but 130K ain't bad.
Hey, ain't bad. Ain't bad. But we
yeah,
What I would do for
but again, this is why, people will say that 130K, but we need to do this exercise to see what drives performance.
Totally.
Even if you want to get to 130K. So that you got to understand what makes it work. So, you were getting it right. So there's in video 1, there's an active metaphor. There's a clear visual story that involves the manipulation of the object. You guys were debating that in your heads, is like with the papers, she's actually manipulating it. With the cars, she's just asking us to imagine a scenario. She's not touching them. She's not moving any of those things. Then there's the tension. Again, as we talked about earlier, a lot of these things are happening on a subconscious level. In video 1, just having the waste paper basket overflowed is creating an initial tension on a subconscious level in those first few seconds.
I was like really trying to pay attention to what she was saying, but I was like, can you get the fucking crumpled paper all in the basket? Oh man.
And then the video 2, there's no clear visual problem. There's just the cars in front of her. And then we have the potential energy. So in that first video, again, there's this potential interaction that's going to happen. We think that, and you were saying this, there's potentially something going to happen with the papers in that versus the cars. She doesn't reach for it or anything like that. And then the last one is just the cleverness. Like video 1, she's using everyday household items to explain this topic of dealing with trauma and trauma therapy versus the cars. There's no real cleverness to kind of what she's doing and how she's manipulating she's lack of manipulating the objects that we would see on an everyday basis.
Thank God we got that one,
Yeah.
man. Whew.
I was just really starting to doubt myself.
Should we switch career paths?
No, I mean, because you guys are getting it. I mean,
It's super interesting though to talk it out loud because Brendan, do you have any Okay, what's this?
These are just more kind of like, as I mentioned, like each format has their own performance drivers and own kind of DNA. So these are just kind of like other types of performance drivers that we would look at. So there's obviously visual cues. And again, it's less about, as you guys know, it's less about the production value, but more the effect that the production has, like the lighting, the tonality of things of it. And then there's obviously the storytelling elements. A lot of the top YouTubers talk about Jenga theory, which if you ever played the blocks of Jenga, each one goes around pulling one out. And that's like tension building. Each one builds tension as you do it. And then obviously the delivery mechanisms, the cadence, the tonality, all of those elements. So those are just more examples of kind of just overall performance drivers.
Gosh, it's so interesting. What is the golden triangle? Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Jay Shetty used that a lot. It's about how you structure your information in terms of the three different elements, and it can be different elements that all work together. But having three core pillars of a story that work together to progress it. Because typically creators will just focus on one thing and have a through line through one.
Interesting.
That was such a fun exercise.
Do we have any more slides, or is that it?
Those are great.
That's it. I can pull up another example if you guys want to keep going, or
you want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
One more would be fun.
okay.
Do you want to pull up maybe a clip that went crazy for us?
Ooh,
Maybe we can do that instead. Maybe you can kind of show us.
That'd be kind of fun. I'd love to hear your take on that. Here, let me go to Reels. Let me find something that really went nuts.
But I think what we need to do is we need to take one that's similar that didn't.
And
play them both.
like same person almost.
Doesn't have to be the same person.
Okay.
Just kind of like the same setup, the same structure to it.
Okay.
Let me see.
I think one of the Gary ones did crazy.
You want to look at Gary? Yeah, one of the Gary ones hit 250,000. But I kind of want it to not be Gary because Gary's brand is so big that it's like, I kind of like, yeah, no shit at Gary. This one has 191,000 views and the next one has 7,000 views.
Videographer number one might say, I shoot everything: real estate, weddings, music videos, and fitness content. This leads the brand to think they don't specialize in fitness, so why should I hire them?
You're a little rock.
Versus, I create high converting fitness content for brands looking to grow their online presence and increase sales.
I'm bought in. I'm handing my credit card over as you're saying it because you're like, this is the person for me. Okay, and this is the second one. The higher that you can get that ROI for them, the more likely they're going to be wanting to pay you more money every single month consistently. If they pay me $5,000, are they going to make back 8? Or are they going to make back 7?
You're not just selling videos. You're selling an actual outcome that the business will then in turn make more money from. They don't really care about how pretty your photos or videos are. They care about making money. So shift your mindset to that and you'll make a lot more money.
So read what the captions the
caption for the second one that has 254 likes is: clients don't care about how pretty your work is. They care about whether it drives sales and delivers return on investment. The moment you shift your mindset from creating
No, you're saying the text on screen?
Yeah,
text on screen. Text on screen was clients only care about one thing, ROI. And then for the other one, it was amateur videographer versus premium videographer.
Yeah. Okay, so can you guys guess? I'll tell you my perspective. You guys guess first.
I think comparing two things, you want to hear both, so you're kind of sticking around longer. And then I also think that people
were pissed that you said to specialize. They were super upset. They're like, I should do everything, is what they're saying in the comments. They were super upset, I remember.
Yeah. And then the first...
For the second one, clients only care about one thing, ROI.
Maybe somebody's like, no shit.
Yeah. It's kind of like it's not a perspective shift at all. So it's right there, you know? What are your thoughts? Tell me.
Starting with the last one, how many people know what ROI means?
Okay.
Are you saying it's a lot or a little?
No, it's a little. We're not speaking to a 5th grader. We're assuming that someone knows what ROI is.
And how many people have clients? Talking from a percentage standpoint.
Yeah, a lot less than the people who don't.
Yeah. And then I think you were spot on the other one. It's one versus another, but also you're talking about videographers. Like how many people hire a videographer for a birthday party, a wedding, an anniversary?
Oh, so see, it's not just people with the damn camera. It's people that hire them too. They're like, I want to know what the difference is. I'm going to hire someone.
But it also creates that immediate tension on the screen. One thing versus another thing. And you want to see how that unfolds.
Interesting. That is so interesting. I remember I had my first video ever went viral when I would just graduated college. I was living in Bali and there was a guy on a motorbike, and he had all these tropical fish taped to the bike, right? And I got my phone out. I was my girlfriend had my phone on the back of the motorbike, and she took a video of the fish. And I was like, she's like, should we stop and get one? I go, yeah. And so we stop, we save this one, named it Roger. We bring it all the way home. There's like a video of us like carrying this fish on the motorbike. We set it up in the tank, and it goes, I wake up the next morning, it has like 6 million views. And I was like, holy shit, why did this go off? And it like basically a 3-part structure. We saw these fish on the back. We decided to save one. And then I'm like reading the comments, and I'm like, oh my God, they wanted us to save every fucking fish.
Oh.
So you had everyone that was like, why didn't you save more of the fish? And then other people were like, that's way too small of a bowl. So it had, I mean, thousands of comments that were just going back and forth. And then you guys are dumb for saving them. What if the fish dies? Like everyone was upset. And it's very interesting because I had multiple videos that went viral with a similar situation where people were upset about something that I said. They're like, and then the other group in the comments was battling back. So then you had another group that was like, it's so good of them to save one of the fish.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? And then the arguments were 1,000 comments deep from people being like, you're stupid. The other group was like, you're stupid. And it was just going nuts. It was like a 30-second video with Roger, the little fish that we saved. And we also had named the little fish.
So controversy is good.
Tension.
Tension.
I mean, controversy works, but it's
Yeah.
a form of tension.
Yeah.
Now, okay,
Because like what story, even like fairy tale stories, is like if it doesn't have some type of tension to
Yeah.
it, it struggles to hold our
You
attention.
have an antagonist. You have someone who's battling against.
now what about someone who says, Brendan, I'm doing everything you fucking tell me. I'm Shadowbanned. I'm not getting views.
99% of the time, it's not the case. Unless you're covering some very like political based content,
Yeah.
controversial based content. And I know some people are going to put in the comments, oh, well, Zuckerberg admitted that they were suppressing. Yeah, they were suppressing, political based stuff. I'm not going to say it because I don't want this to get like pushed down. But yeah, it's 99% of the time, it's not, you're not getting shadow banned. Like I literally had a friend of mine reach out with a friend of his that had like 850,000 followers on Instagram. So they were relatively successful. And he was like, hey, she's looking for help because she can't figure out, she keeps going viral, but she keeps losing followers. So I took literally 90 seconds to look at the account, and it was like all like hardcore political views all across the board. So even if you were like left or right, I'm not going to say which one it was, even if you were one of those, you were going to get alienated by one of the videos that she was posting. So there is always 99.9% of the time, there is always a reason that you're not growing, and it comes down to storytelling. Now, I am not saying it has anything to do with you as a person. It's nothing personal with you, and it's usually not your message. Again, as you said, it's not about what you say, it's about how you say it. It's the context of it. What's causing your lack of success on social media. But people love to blame shadow banning, or they say, oh, you know what? The algorithms are suppressing my reach to get me to pay a $50 boost. All the social media platforms combined make $1 billion a day. Like I've managed over $300 million worth of marketing spend. They don't make their billions off of people spending $50 on a boost. They make it off of Apple and McDonald's and Nike and things of that nature. In addition, if that were the case, Mr. Beast wouldn't be the most subscribed person on YouTube. It would be Apple or Nike or Pepsi or something like that.
Yeah.
One of those brands.
Why do you think those bigger brands or brands that maybe aren't consumers just kind of miss the mark? Is it just they're not storytelling in a way that's connecting with the consumer? Like, why is a Mr. Beast able to create a video that gets hundreds of millions of views, and then somebody like a McDonald's or a Pepsi or something might have a YouTube channel and like their stuff's like not really cracking?
Because Mr. Beast, for example, every story is designed specifically for the platform. Like he said, he spent 1,000 days straight, 10 hours a day, analyzing every aspect of how to tell a story on that platform. Brands, and you guys know this, you work with brands, they're still operating off of old creative paradigms and models that were designed pre-social media. And they think just because it worked for television or print or something like that before, that it's going to automatically translate to social media. And again, it's not the content and the story they're trying to tell that's failing them. It's the way that they're going about telling the story.
Yeah.
They can't get out of their own way.
No, and the cut down of the minute spot isn't a social video just because you move the lines in.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing to me, dude. You're making a cut down, and I'm like, this just isn't going to do well. It's for broadcast. And we're just grabbing the lines and we're just putting them 9:16 and being like, this is our TikTok video for today. It just doesn't make any sense.
You also bring up an interesting point. You were telling us that you don't actually think batch shooting content is a great strategy. Can you go into that and why a founder maybe shouldn't be batch shooting early on in their content creation journey?
Because you struggle to learn. So let's just take an example. Let's just say that you sit down and you create 15 pieces of content. Now let's take a drastic example. Let's just say your audio crapped out and you can hear them, but you can barely hear them. Well, you're going to go ahead and post it, but then the first video fails and then you're like, oh, well, it's because the audio. And then you just go and post the other ones because you already shot them. Now that's an extreme example, but it's the same kind of aspect of it is like most people, like you batch produce 15 pieces of content and then the first one fails. You can't really take the learnings from that and apply it to the next one because you've got all these others, that you're posting out. Now, if you have a very regimented process where you're going to produce 15 with all a single hypothesis, a single format, the performance drivers, and then you're going to learn with each post all 15 and accumulate all of those notes and make sure that the next batch is going to perform, you can do it. But human behavior says we typically don't operate that way. So that's why I just like in the beginning, and I'm not saying it has to be forever, and I'm not saying it's like a single rule that if you batch produce, you're going to fail, but you typically are going to burn yourself out and bang your head against the wall, just continuing to reproduce the same results over and over and over again. So to me, it's like set yourself up for success, crawl before you run, learn with each element as you go along so that you can really master storytelling of that specific format.
What's been one of the most surprising things from one of your research studies on a creator?
Oh, that's a good question.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think I mean, this isn't, and I'm going to try and think through the most surprising one, but just like, I'd like the example we did, the how do you know, like just kind of like emulating that kind of like FaceTime conversation just reinforces again, what these platforms are truly about is it's about connecting with the audience. It's not about like how fancy I can be, how I can represent myself in a certain way. It really comes down to that effect on the viewer that you have. And I think the other thing that, I don't know that it's necessarily surprising because we've seen it so many times, but I think that the interesting thing is you can literally have somebody with zero social media experience come in and just completely blow it out of the water because they master storytelling. Like we had a hand doctor starting from zero and she's just creating, content a format with her iPhone and she blew up like 150 million views, 850,000 followers, not because she went to film school or something like that. It's just because she tapped into, a type of connection with the audience, creating a powerful effect with each video that allowed her to explode. So, one of the things that I talk about that I think people undervalue is if we go back 25 years ago before social media, how did you reach the masses? You had to go through a television station, a radio station. You had to have a big PR team, budgets to put, ads in magazines or on billboards. And literally today, with this thing in our pocket, these mobile devices, anybody can reach millions of people if they tell the right story. And to me, that I think is so underestimated and undervalued in today's world. I think we take it for granted that we have this power at our fingertips, and it has really democratized and decentralized communication to the masses and it made it available to everyone.
Yeah.
It's so interesting to think what these next 6 to 12 months are going to look like. Are you worried at all with the integration of all the AI content onto the platforms, or is the principle still going to be the exact same? Focus on storytelling, focus on creating a great message, and focus on your pre-production to break through that noise.
I am not worried from our sake and our perspective because, the AI content is still going to have to be driven by content creators, and they're still going to need to tell effective stories and understand the difference between a good and bad story. I think the larger concern I have, and it may happen in 6 to 12 months, it may be longer, is like, what does this all mean for human civilization? You know, the power of deep fakes, the power of creating completely artificial content. I mean, we see the Shore examples happening now, and they're like good, they're not great, but what is that going to look like a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now? Like, and this is like a crazy thing to say, but there is some truth behind it, is social media the next weapon of mass destruction?
Yeah, because you'll have all these people that are saying crazy stuff and people aren't going to know. People already don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, the deep fake stuff is
Terrifying.
crazy.
Oh yeah, to like do a hit piece on somebody and have them say something absolutely absurd. It's wild to think about.
And the other big question that the social media platforms are going to have to answer and really dictate the future of all of this is, how are they going to treat 100% AI-driven content? Now, the CEO of YouTube just came out and said, well, why should I penalize content just because it's 100% AI generated? Now, I'm not trying to answer that question for them, but that answer is going to dictate how we experience what we engage with in the future. Because these platforms could just say, nope, it's 100% is out, or there needs to be some type of blockchain evidence that it's created by a real person, especially with deep fakes and things of that nature. But I mean, nobody really knows, but it can really transform the world in both a positive and negative way in terms of how it's leveraged. Now, I think to your larger question is, do us as independent content creators have to worry about getting beat out by fully AI-driven content? I don't think we do. I think that there's going to be a demand for that level of content, but I think there's also going to be a demand for kind of the real thing. It's kind of like animation movies versus live action movies. You know, there's still that demand for live action, and there's still that demand for animation. In addition to kind of the real world applications of like, hey, you get to go see Taylor Swift in a concert. She's a real person. There's that real world kind of experience and connection. Now, that's in the next 5 years. What it looks like in 25 years, 50 years, when you look at like robots and things of that nature, that's harder to kind of project out.
Did you see the Amazon doc that was leaked of like all the employees?
Oh, yes.
Like I think it was like 600,000 employees they're saying that are going to be laid off. And like, I don't remember the time frame, but I mean, that's just like so much workforce. I mean, dude, have you seen all the cars out here that are driving by themselves yet? Have you driven by them?
I haven't, but I've been in a Waymo before. It's crazy.
It's wild. It's insane. I mean, even coming down where we live in West Hollywood, there's so many of them. It's actually absurd. Like I remember I pulled up a few nights ago to a 4-way stop. It was 3 Waymos and it was myself. And I'm like, how weird is this, man? If you're not from like and they don't have them really in New York, but if you're not from SF, I believe they're in Miami too, or LA, you're from a Midwest town and you came out here, you'd be like, what in the heck is going on? And we've just accepted it. We've just accepted it as like a thing here. It's weird.
Yeah, but there's like, if you look at the course of human history, technology and innovation has always knocked out jobs but created new jobs.
Yeah, the Industrial Revolution. Yeah.
So I'm
printing press.
I'm less worried about kind of that application. I'm more worried about the communication element of like, especially the deep fake stuff, because like we live in a world that's full of fake news or just a lot of information that's disseminated that maybe isn't even put out on purpose as fake, but they're collecting information from other places and then reinterpreting that.
Yeah.
Now, what happens when it's not just a person telling a story that is misrepresenting facts or misrepresenting a completely story, and it's like actually visually showing that this thing happened when it actually didn't happen? Like, that's the scary part of like, what are the implications of that?
And it looks perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's easy to go down the doom state of like, holy shit. I really like what you said though. There's a time and a place. People can enjoy a real movie. People can enjoy an animated stuff. It doesn't have to be either or. And I think just we crave that in-person connection. And so I think that like moving forward to really cultivate an audience and you know, really break through, like that in-person stuff is going to be so crucial, especially to like separate yourself from other people. Because everyone's gonna, have the ability to create content online, but I think that those who create those in-person events and bring their audience together, I think that's gonna be definitely a way to win and separate yourself. You brought up hook point, and I want to talk about hooks. What do people need to be paying attention to and incorporating into those first 3 seconds on short form and maybe first 15 to 30 seconds on long form that's going to help them produce, longer retention and have someone get someone's attention right off the bat and then watch the full video?
Yeah, I have a lot to say. I wrote an entire book on hooks. But let's cover the things that we've already talked about, and then we'll add on to it.
Yeah.
Number one is, the generalist principle. How are you setting something up that anybody can enjoy, anybody connect with, without losing the core essence of what you're trying to achieve with your message, or water down kind of who you are, and it still plays to your business goals and objectives. We just did the 2 examples of those 2 videos of the generalist principle completely killed the reach of the other one. Now you could have re-engineered that hook in a way that still conveyed the same point that could connect with more people and bring them in. So that's number one. Number 2, understand that everything has already been said. Point blank, everything has already been said. So you need to make sure that you're constructing your hook that demonstrates you're going to provide some type of perspective that is different than what they've already heard or seen before. Because if you already feel like you've heard or seen it before, you're just be like, oh, I know what this person's going to say. I don't need to hear it. Another kind of tool that you can use, I don't recommend using it every time, but subverting expectations, flipping it on your head, something on your head. For example, I think we did a video a long time ago of the saying of don't sweat the small stuff. The subvert expectation is sweat the small stuff. So it kind of flips something on their head. So people are like, oh, I haven't heard that before. So let me kind of, let me see what it's about. The other thing is setting up a very clear expectation of what the person can expect from it and actually deliver on it. Because clickbait, it doesn't really work like it did in the past. You actually have to deliver on what you're promising up front. Other things we talked about in the example is you can set some type of conflict up front in that hook that drives that interest. And yeah, those I think are a few. I mean, there's a lot more kind of a nuance to it of how you set up the hook. Man on the Street, for example, is how you frame it to build more tension. For example, you just holding the camera, approaching somebody versus somebody seeing you approach somebody, and the angle that you approach them, making sure that you can see their facial expression clearly. There's a lot of kind of nuances that happen on the subconscious level with it. Another big thing that people get wrong is they try and do too much in the first 3 seconds. So they'll have a title card, they'll have captions, they'll have movement, they'll have somebody speaking. You need to have a very, very clear visual hierarchy of where you want people to focus, first focus, second focus, third focus, so they can track. Because the subconscious, if it feels like it's being left behind, it can't process fast enough, it'll scroll past and move on.
So should you have a little title card situation, or do you think you lead with text right off the bat for most?
It depends on the format. And again, that's just because you have text or title card, that's not a performance driver. It's the way that you leverage it. Because we just looked at Dr. Julie Smith in those 2 examples. They both had that there.
And that other guy had it too. They had a thing up top and then the actual copy.
Yeah, the text on screen is always something that fascinated me. How much time do you think someone needs, if they are going to have a title card or something that kind of summarizes the video? How much time do they need to put into what that says? Because for example, the example that we showed you was amateur versus professional, and then the other one was talking about ROI. So does someone need to pay as close of attention to the copy that's actually on the title card?
You need to pay attention to everything that's in there. The visual hierarchy, if it's number 1, you have to pay more attention. If it's second or third, you don't. But yes, you need to pay as much attention as possible to it. I mean, with ChatGPT, you can do a lot of variations with it to kind of simplify it, make it punchier. But yeah, they need to be able to read and understand and grasp what this video represents in less than 3 seconds, oftentimes in 1 to 2 seconds. And the
Yeah.
longer and wordier, or if like ROI, even if somebody maybe kind of understands ROI in that video example, if they have to sit there and think like for 5 or 10 seconds, what is ROI, they're going to move on.
Gotcha.
So, but again, like it doesn't mean you have to sit there and spend an hour on it. Spend 5 minutes with ChatGPT and just create as many variations with it and see which one kind of really sticks out.
This has been such a fun conversation.
If you could talk to someone and give them like unsolicited advice, if you could talk to, and we usually say if you could go back and talk to your 18-year-old self, like what advice would you give? But if you could give some unsolicited advice to somebody 18 or fucking 45, regardless of their profession or their niche, and they want to see success over the next 6 to 12 months on social, what are like the key pieces of advice you would say to send them on and have them see success?
Number one is become the best storyteller possible. And that is broad advice for anything in life. If you want to be successful in anything that you do in life, you've got to become a good storyteller. Even if you're working within a corporate environment, how do you rise up the ranks? Well, you tell compelling stories to demonstrate your value. So number one is understand this is all about storytelling. Do whatever you can to become the best storyteller. Number two, recognize and realize there's this thing called formats, or can be represent series. There's repeatable patterns out there for success. Study those patterns. Find the one that resonates with you. Make it a personal choice for you, not because somebody else tells you to do it or because you see somebody have success with it. It has to connect with you. And then number three, do the exercise we just did. Like you can do is you put a high performer on one side of the screen and a low performer on the other side of the screen and try and diagnose like what is the difference between these. But if you really want to get good at social media and leverage the power of it, it really comes down to that. It's not about how much content you put out. It's not about what time of day you post. It's not about the hashtags. It's not about how fancy your camera is. It's not how big your ad budget is. It's purely how effectively can you have an effect on the viewer on the other side of the screen through the story that you tell.
And if someone wants to see that database of stuff that you guys have, how can they access that?
Yeah, so they can go to hookpoint.com and they can schedule a call with our team. We can walk them through that. In addition, for your listeners, if they go to hookpoint.com/505, they can get a free copy of my latest book that breaks all of this down in detail. This is a real book. It's not an ebook. If you want to go, it's called The Guide to Going Viral. You can go buy it on Amazon if you want, but I'm giving it away for free for listeners to that. And that will break down every step of the process that I walked through today.
Oh, this is amazing.
I'm gonna be downloading
Yeah,
it.
I'm downloading it. Go to the description. We'll link it
I get it
down
for
below.
free too?
This has been episode 179 with Brendan Kane. If you're still here, please hit the subscribe button, drop us a comment. We'll see you guys all next week. Peace.
First pod in the new stew?
Listen, guys, it's coming together, okay? Do we have 2 panels that are miscolored? Yeah, and it's all good.
Could you believe that?
I feel like I don't even know if they would have noticed, though, if we didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So this is the whole problem here. On this company's website, if you hold up the laptop, let me tell you, that one looks more like this one.
Oak and walnut, too close to each other.
Too close to each other. There should be like a sticker that they send. Is this the yellow sticker or is this the orange sticker?
So we're gonna have to get 2 new wood panels. We also did our best to cover the windows, and we really thought we did something with the long curtains and a curtain rod. We just need even longer floor to ceiling curtains, and we're gonna put them on both sides. Then we're gonna put up the neon sign. We went to living spaces.
Yep. Got some chairs.
You know,
tell them what we got first.
Well, first of all, I really think you need to be able to take shit home right then and there from living spaces. A lot easier.
The fact that they were like, oh yeah. Well, also we just need the biggest truck ever to get the stuff home.
Yeah.
So I have a Tesla. You have a Jeep. Not great for moving stuff.
We also realized we thought a couch and a chair would be good. Too difficult to get a couch through that door, so we're going 3 chairs.
3 chairs.
Which I think is going to be better.
We wanted to give you guys the couch that everyone was asking about, and
Yes.
for cozy vibes. These are 3 cozy chairs. They're going to work great.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a good vibe. But the studio is coming together. The lights are going to be kind of set up into the ceiling.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out if we can mount 3 lights into the ceiling.
And we're tired of you guys bitching about us hitting the table. So
Yeah.
now, no matter what, we have these mic stands. So Hopefully you guys don't cry anymore.
I hope you guys like our $12 Ross Dress for Less tablecloth.
That was it was perfect for us. Perfect for did the job today. And then we stole this table from Kosa's dad that was in the room. So it's great.
So I'll tell you what, give us 2 to 3 months.
We're gonna have a bookshelf behind me with that
2 bookshelves on either side.
100K subscriber plaque on it. Yeah, it's gonna feel good.
What feels good, even though it's not nearly finished, it just feels amazing that it's just a room dedicated to the pod. 4 years later, we fucking have made it.
Come on, we made it. We made it.
Shit.
Come on, we did it.
So what'd you think of the first pod in the new stew?
That was such a fun episode. Brendan is just a ball of knowledge. I mean, he is so fun to talk to.
Yeah.
I feel like The Rock's got a lot of limiting beliefs broken today. A lot of things they were thinking. I really thought though that we had that first one. And then when we replayed it, I was like, he did say the same shit twice. I just immediately though, I had a bias for the negativity angle.
Me too. Well, that says a lot about how we like to operate our
lives. Yeah.
We are cup is half empty.
Yeah, we're just negative people. But okay, the reason why I said that was because one of my friends who's a YouTuber and he has like 150K subs, he did his own little study and in his thumbnails, it was like, let's say he reviews some tech sometimes, so let's use the GoPro. He'd be like, is the GoPro 10 bad? Pretend, right? It would be a negative word.
Yeah.
And all of the ones that he did of tech that was positive, like does the blah, blah, positive, bad. Didn't perform as well as the negative angle. So immediately as I saw a negative angle, I was like, that one's got to be it. I didn't even like think about the rest of what he said. I just saw negative and I was like, that's the one. Dude, it's all good. Now that we talked about it, I would have picked one.
What I think is so great about what he does and a big takeaway from the episode is doing research, not just finding a format that works for you, but really dissecting why a certain format works for a certain creator and how you can bring that into your own content. But I think that like, just because it worked for somebody else doesn't mean it's the right format for you.
We got to study the game.
Gotta
study the game. Gotta get in the lab, check out why this is working. It's interesting too to go back. When I look at the clips that have done well, it's very easy and apparent to be like, this is why this did well. And in hindsight, I mean, we're not editing the clips. So it's like, I can't just clone myself and like cut the clips.
Yeah.
But when you watch them back and after you see how the data does, you're like, oh, this is not a great clip. This is why this didn't do very well. Especially as you scroll all the way down on the page and you're like seeing, what the situation was.
Me and Fig have also been really debating like how crazy do the clips need to be?
Shout out to Yuli, new clips editor.
Yeah, and we're like, do we bring on a motion graphics person too to like really ramp it up? And I love what he said that like 99% of the time, production value isn't the reason why a clip does well or a piece of content does well or not. I think it can definitely, benefit.
I think the whole thing though, like you were saying, is the piece of content.
Totally.
It's like what is said and like why it was chosen.
Yeah.
So it's almost like having someone that is so trained, not to just like editing a clip, trained to think about like why this piece would provoke an emotion from somebody. Does it provide a ton of value? Is it really humorous? The Gary Vee one about winning the lottery, no one knows that Gary's won the lottery. That was a piece of information that was one of one. And then people are debating in the comments, well, oh, Gary shouldn't have won the lottery.
Yeah.
Gary's already doing well, blah, blah, blah. You just have all these different opinions that kind of cycle through because this makes someone feel a certain type of way. And it's just interesting to go back and see like what made someone comment or what made someone like a particular video.
And I also think
the transformation thing that he said was super interesting. Is it a contrarian thought?
Oh,
and when we're thinking about our YouTube titles, like that's something we're trying to dive into. It's like, if we say this, Seth Godin is a perfect example.
Yes.
That podcast, let me go back and look at what the title was.
Don't be authentic or some shit?
No, I don't think it was Don't Be Authentic. Stop chasing attention.
Oh.
And Seth has a bright pair of glasses on. And so you have all these crybabies in the comments like, stop chasing attention from a guy that wears blue light blue. Yeah, thank you. We appreciate your comment. You nimwit.
Thanks for the view.
Thanks for the view, brother.
Make sure you subscribe. I do think though that hearing him say that production value isn't what's going to help you win necessarily is something that's going to allow someone to take a deep breath because man, if you want to create content, I think, like he said, you just got to focus on like the story that you're telling, the angle that you want to take, and trying to appeal to the masses and taking a more generalist approach. I think it's great. And I also think that like, yeah, you can get caught up in, I don't have the nicest camera, I don't have the lights, I don't have a filmer. And that's a big reason why people almost like take the victim mentality and point the fingers as to like, oh, well, I don't have this, which is why I'm not seeing success.
And he said a lot of his clients are literally just using an iPhone.
Yeah.
Which is really cool for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, dude, also the new selfie camera on the iPhone.
Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good.
I also, I tried to be a really good fiance, and I bought Sarah Catherine, because she's been making some videos. I bought her a little thing that you plug into the phone and you put it to the back so you can see. It's like a
oh, I see what you're saying. It's like a front camera
camera
for the back.
Front camera for the back. It's display, but it's flipped.
That's just the dumbest thing. Did you get on TikTok Shop?
No, I got it on Amazon.
Okay.
So I supported a small business. Shout out Jeff Bezos.
And yeah, it's just not it.
She hasn't used it. We used it once and she hasn't used it.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
But it's the thought that counts.
Figuring out a format as well.
Yes.
So The Rock's got to go back home tonight, or right now. They're at home, probably, right?
Yeah.
Go back home and figure out what format is going to work for you and the strengths that you have. So some of you might have the gift of gab. You might be great talkers. Some of you might be insanely attractive, man. Maybe that's your thing. You're like, I'm great on camera. I'm looking good. I'm feeling good. I'm talking. The words are flowing.
There's no way to, like, YouTube Studio doesn't show you this. But I feel like we have a really good looking group of people that listens to this podcast.
I completely agree. If there was a stat, I feel like we would be off the charts.
It's it's hard.
There's a beautiful group of people that listen to this show.
Fucking models.
It's tough. It's tough to have the group that's learning all this stuff and super beautiful.
Yeah.
And I know they're listening to this show.
So you guys got to lean into that.
You got to lean into that.
Look, we're like, you guys are all hot, so you got to show the face on camera.
Yes.
And you can talk well.
Uh-huh.
Lean into it.
Uh-huh.
You know?
I agree. That's something.
Like the Oren episodes, dude, you got to just be hotter.
Yeah, he's like, got to looks max.
Yeah.
He's like, got to get a haircut.
Yeah.
What else did Oren say? He's like, you gotta have brush your teeth, man.
Yep.
Get your hair looking good.
Yeah.
Wear a nice fit. He goes,
Yeah.
look at this fit. Look at this fit I'm in. That was so funny.
You got to look smacks, but utilize it, man. If you got the looks, dude, don't waste them. Don't waste your God-given talent.
The thing that I thought was also super interesting is we were talking about how social is evolving. And I do think that social is evolving.
Yeah.
I think it'd be crazy to say that it's not changing pretty
It's
consistently.
a completely different game than it was 5 years ago.
And you can see that, I think, with the ads that we've ran and
Sure.
that other people have ran that we've talked to. Like ads that worked 6 months ago, that same format doesn't work anymore. And I think what Brendan was explaining to us, though, is at the core of it, it's like still a great story. A great story needs to be told, whether it's a carousel story,
Yes.
whether it's, the one example of the gal who's using a metaphor of a thing on the table.
Yeah.
Like, regardless, a great story needs to be told. And I think that most of us, ourselves included, you got to spend more time writing than you probably do filming. Like,
I thought that was a key thing that he said.
Writing is the whole damn thing. And we've realized that, like with stuff,
Yeah.
I can tell when I'm rushing something and I feel kind of lost with my script and I like kind of half-assed it and I'm trying to say the words and I'm like, that just doesn't sound very good. Or
Sure.
I don't think this is going to connect with people.
Yeah.
I need to spend far more time writing because we can talk on camera. It's not very hard. We've done it for a long time. But I think the hardest thing for sure for us is sitting down and writing for extensive like hours of time.
Yeah, but I want to reiterate, I feel comfortable, pretty fucking comfortable talking to a camera now. I did not start off that way.
No.
And I also am not like genuinely, when I was joking around about it, I'm not a one take wonder. You're a lot better at talking to the fucking camera than I am.
I really appreciate that.
You really are. Like, you do got the gift of gab. It takes me so fucking long to like record a talking head video, whether it's on my phone or the camera. But I do notice that like when I'm in practice and recording videos more consistently versus not, it becomes a lot easier. Like, it is a muscle. And so if you are just starting out or you're not as comfortable as you would like to be on camera, like, I love his thesis of talk to one person, not
So
a
much.
ton, because it's so true. Like, when you're looking at Instagram or TikTok or watching YouTube, you're alone. It's rare that you're with a group of people. Maybe YouTube connected TV is kind of bringing that to be more of a thing.
When you're at parties and stuff and you're in the corner and you're like watching
Yeah,
the
dude.
ones by yourself.
Yeah, man. I don't, I'm socially awkward. So I'm over here fucking, ripping YouTube shorts. Fucking somebody's trying to talk to me. But it's all about, dude, we're talking about practice. You just gotta practice.
You just gotta practice.
Yeah,
you gotta
man.
get in the lab.
You gotta get in the lab.
Shout J-Hawk.
We're in the lab.
We're in the lab right now, and we're gonna stay here in this lab. It's gonna be ours. It's great.
Because it's free 99.
It's free. It's
Can't
free.
beat it.
I really hope that you guys are liking the direction that it's going. Do you remember the first 505 set ever?
Yeah.
If you're an OG rock, you'll remember this. The first 505 neon sign. I think.
So ghetto.
Yeah, but I believe it was me or Chase with our chair one day when we were like working at the table, slid backwards. It just ripped the cables apart. So,
Oh, yeah.
So the neon sign like literally couldn't work. Oh no, the best news though with the current neon sign that we have, we don't have we were in a rush to move. Kostas wasn't there to help Sharif and I move. So Kostas left us a lot of work to do when we were moving. And so it was like a last minute thing, and we were literally moving till literally 11 p.m. We were supposed to be out at like 9 a.m. that day, and we're like, we're working on it. It's noon. We're like checking in on how the move's going. We're almost done. It's like 3. I think we got out of there at like 11:30 at night. Anyways, no idea where the mounting bracket stuff is for the neon sign. So we have to email the custom neon sign place to send us those, and we don't have the remote for it. So we plugged in yesterday to see what color it is. We're like, oh, it's got to be like that orange color. It's freaking neon pink. So we're like, we're just not going to put it up. We'll wait for them to send us the remote with the bracket material. Neon pink could have been a vibe. It just wasn't the color that we normally have up.
Yeah.
So we got to get that remote back.
Now, listen, at least not for the first episode.
Not for the first one in the studio. We had to christen it, and now we can put it up.
Yeah. You're about to go hunt some elk.
I'm literally going hunting for a week. Can you guys believe that?
I've only shot a real gun once before in my life.
I'm going to bring you guys home elk steaks, and it's going to be really fun. It's my dad's 70th birthday. It's like his lifelong dream to go hunt an elk.
That's awesome.
So we're going to, I'm not going to have my phone for a week. This is going to be good for me, though, because I have a phone addiction. So I'm not going to be able to be on my phone at all. And I'm going to,
Dude, I gotta rip some YouTube shorts.
I got to get my fix, dude. Can you guys drive to the, we're driving 2 hours away from the nearest town, and they're like, there's literally no service. We will be sleeping in tents, camping.
Wow.
You should see my hunting apparel.
So wait. Where is this that you're going?
We're flying into Salt Lake, and then you take a little tiny hopper
So
plane.
Utah.
Yeah, no, we're going to Idaho. And then you take a little hopper plane. I think it's like an hour and a half to Lewiston, Idaho.
Okay.
It's tip top Idaho in the wilderness.
A lot of pod listeners there.
I think we're going to do a meetup. Can you imagine? It's like a bunch of hunters.
You
We
might
have
get
like
recognized
we have
out
a
there on
huge,
your
we have a huge hunting community.
Dude, not now. I'm really locked in on this elk.
It's gonna be pretty wild. I'm like,
So you got the whole camo fit?
you should see my fit.
Yeah.
It's actually insane.
Drip?
It's hilarious. Amazon just got everything. I look comedic. I might wear like face paint.
Yeah.
So I can really blend in. I have like a pretty much looks like a ghillie suit, man.
Fuck
But it's
yeah.
all camo. It's pretty hilarious. But I'm gonna be gone for a week. Dude, but you guys think we wouldn't have episodes for you guys? Come on.
Almost didn't.
We're recording tomorrow morning at the butt crack of
8
dawn
a.m.
for you guys. Okay, 8 a.m. So if we sound a little tired on the Dan Churchill episode, you're gonna know why, because it's.
But that ep's gonna be sick. Also, man, this is probably like plus 2 hours into this episode. I'd love to know if you guys are ripping the post-pod debriefs.
Yeah, if you guys don't like the post pod debrief, let us know, because it's more work. But we like you guys a lot, and everyone was saying, everyone,
What were they saying?
that they loved it.
Oh, yeah.
They were really liking the PPD.
I don't, yeah.
It's PPD.
PPD? Yeah, we're ripping some PPDs. And that's that.
That's that. That's a great episode.
I did,
What were you gonna say?
I don't know. I was crying about this iPhone case. It's
What's wrong with the case?
for another day. It's the texture's weird. You really set me up to fail. I got the same thing as you.
You held it.
I don't know. Well, just, you know what?
You literally held my phone. You held it and said, I like it. And I said, oh, you should get it.
Yeah.
Well, because you know what was the problem? The one that I got that was clear I'm not saying I love this texture, okay? I'm not like dying on the hill that I love this, but the other one was smooth. And then when you'd I was just dropping my phone all the time.
I kind of wish it was just the texture of what was on the outs. I don't know. Anyways, this is enough.
That's it.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. Bye, Rocks.